guess when you say like what people should do, I think it's important to do something. I think it's very easy, especially in academic contexts that like to pride themselves on kind of criticality, to create a kind of critical paralysis. You know, you feel like you don't understand the complexity of a situation, so you kind of hold back on the assumption that at some point you're going to get that tidbit of wisdom that allows you to act perfectly. You learn by doing, you know, you learn by trying. That was, you know, sure when I was there it wasn't the kind of necessarily the perfect way of engaging with the crisis, but it was like I was nearby and there was something very easy and tangible to do. If you've got free time, you know, work out where you can go and volunteer. If you speak the languages or have friends who speak languages where these kind of diaspora communities are coming from, then go and help them be on the ground, because language is a really important part. Or if you have access to networks of people with lots of money, you know, parents, friends, or kind of, you know, you can get them to send an email out to their friends, then do that. Kind of working out how to use our position here and our skill sets and our privileges to help in some way. But it's important that you help in some way rather than going, oh, I don't know if, you know, giving money to this charity or this charity or this charity or donating this or this is best, because it's going to help in some way. Yeah. I kind of, as a general point, two of the things I've picked up for when people want to kind of donate money or equipment is to really get in touch with the organisations who are actually on the ground there and ask them what they need. You know, I can't speak to them now. I know at the time when we were there, we just needed money. We need money to be able to make snap decisions. Okay, tonight we've got 2,000 less blankets because we didn't get so many back in. We need to go to IKEA and buy blankets. Money is liquid in that sense. You can kind of change its use. Donations are really important, but a lot of my friends who've worked in the donations processing centres have said they're getting really ridiculous stuff. You know, they kind of put a call out for we need, you know, we don't have enough men's jumpers and we don't have enough children's warm trousers. There's like very specific lists, because obviously when thousands of people give stuff, different things are going to come in different proportions. So if you do donate like clothes or equipment, look on the list of the different charities. And kind of, yeah, and in terms of money, donate money to the kind of groups who are on the ground. There's a group called Migration Aid who I was with in Budapest. And there's a similar ISTAR, the International Students Aiding Refugees, kind of lots of students who are just out there on the ground. I think one of the things to be bear in mind, which is kind of slightly antithetical, but don't do anything now, but don't forget about it. There'll be compassion fatigue for this crisis, and it will kind of drop off the news because it's going to get boring, but it's still going to be going on kind of deep into the winter. So people who have money to donate maybe donate it later, or kind of speak to an organisation who knows going to be there, who's kind of saving money, and kind of send it to them and they can make that call. But kind of don't see it as a kind of one-off, I can send this and it's going to be fine now. And then also you need to kind of situate it within a larger theory of social change. It's not just about kind of patching up the cracks of this migration stream, it's also, I don't know how, it's the kind of eternal frustration of our political system, but how do you lobby for a lasting political situation, like solution to this crisis? And that's a kind of slightly slower change of having those awkward conversations with your grandparents and your parents' generation about military interventionism and its follies, about the arms trade and about its kind of relationship to this conflict. And yeah, kind of try and play that into kind of part of your picture of the solution, because, you know, everybody I spoke to when I was there wanted to live in Syria. No one wants to, like, it's not like they've been waiting for the chance to come to Germany. You know, people feel obviously a kind of an affinity to their cultural roots and their home, and so people are kind of, what they're saying, this is a temporary, you know, we're going to go and have a slightly less shitty existence in Germany on a kind of, you know, often breadline asylum package and support, and then we'll go back to Syria the first chance we can get, and that's about ending the conflict in Syria and kind of stopping the kind of cause of this crisis. Yeah. One thing that I guess another interesting reflection is it was very like, it was hard not to conjure the historical comparison of similar migration flows that would have been happening from those very countries and through that very train station in the 30s and 40s. And on the one hand, to be very like sickened by hearing the similar rhetoric and xenophobia and protectionism that characterise, that we now look back on with such kind of deplorable guilt that we kind of, our ancestors conjured up during World War II, that aversion to help, that somehow kind of the ability to other so easily. That was very clear when I was there. It felt really dangerous. And but also it's kind of a slightly reassuring kind of thinking about how far Europe's come in the last 70 years. You know, there's nothing intrinsic or inherent about the Middle East as a crisis zone. It's still dealing with a kind of lot of very complex imperialist legacy, you know, catalysed with a kind of massive injection of arms in the Cold War and kind of all these crises that have emerged since. But there's nothing inherent about that region that means it's going to be this kind of unstable hot pot of violence and conflict for the next 70 years, next 50 years. You know, that's in our lifetime. It's quite a positive thing, a positive comparison to make, to imagine Hungary and Europe as, you know, a site of equally horrific things in the 40s, and now dare to be there, and now it's a support network. Yeah.